Hey, it's Matt, and on today's Cured by Nature show, we're talking about how CBD oil can help with drug and alcohol problems. Our guests today are Dustin and his mom, Melanie. Dustin had a big alcohol and drug abuse addiction for 12 years, and that's a long time. I'm very happy to say that he is now almost 4 months into recovery with the help of our CBD oil. This interview took place at about 60 days into his rehab, but I was super happy to get these 2 emails from Melanie that said, "Matt and Ellie, I am just checking in. You had asked to keep you posted on Dustin's progress. He has reached his 90 days, 92 now. His liver function tests were completely normal as well as all his other lab tests. That just seems impossible to me. I do know that CBD is a liver healer. I never see any tremors anymore. Yesterday, he went and worked out at the gym for the first time. I know he struggles internally, but he just seems so calm and serene. Thanks again for your kindness. God bless, Melanie." In the second email, "Hi Matt and Ellie, Dustin is at 115 days now. His last lab tests were perfect except vitamin D was low. All his liver and B vitamin deficiencies are perfect now. Exciting news! He got a job building tiny houses with some really good guys. Check out windrivertinyhomes.com to see the tiny houses he helps build. They are Christians and have worship before they start. No drinking or drugs in the small group. He absolutely loves it, and they love him. He seems so serene, and he said he was thinking yesterday how nice it was to be free, where before he would have to make sure he had his drugs or his alcohol and sneak off somewhere to use it. He loves that he doesn't have to live like that anymore. He's wanting to quit smoking, and his job wants that from him, so that is his next mountain. But I told him that then he will really be free. Hope all is well with you and your family. Thanks again for asking about Dustin. Have a great day, Melanie." And with that, let's jump right into the interview where Dustin tells us his struggles with alcohol and drugs and how CBD oil helped him finally get his sobriety and his life back. Thank you so much for letting us into your life, because this is how, people are going to find this, and they're going to, hear about it, read about it, listen to you guys, and they are going to change their ways and their beliefs about how this can help them, So thanks. Anyway, would you, my first question is, let's just start with the beginning, So the thing is, you have health issues, however, it came about, and CBD oil in particular is helping you. Is that right?
Yes. I don't know how far back you want to go.
Like, what's going on? What's your health? Let's start with that. What's the health problem? What's the health issue? What's the health challenge?
I've been in active addiction for about 12 plus years, opiates and alcohol mainly. And that finally caught up with me in a lot of different ways. Most recently, I ended up having some liver problems and a lot of just nutrition problems and everything, and went through detox, and I've got I deal with a lot of depression and anxiety, and since the last bout in detox, I've had a lot of tremors. It was really bad, and
Show them what your head would do.
I mean, I was constantly, it was this bad all the time.
Oh, like
And now-
almost is sort of almost looked like Parkinson, if you know.
Yeah, my arms, my hands, everything. And right now I'm fine, And so, the things I noticed with the CBD is, starting from the small, is appetite, helps with my nausea, mental clarity, and then it goes to anxiety and the tremors. Those are the huge things it helps with. So when I quit taking it, I'd run out, within 2 days, I was back to, my tremors had gotten really bad. I really felt my brain quite literally shut down back into depression, a lot of anxiety. I just couldn't think. A lot of that's getting better with recovery. I'm 67 days clean now. So a lot of that's getting better just in general the further I go. But CBD has helped me a ton through that process. Just the hurdle of anxiety and dealing with the tremors and the mental part of it, I guess.
Have you been through detox before? Before 60 days, or 60 days ago, that was the first time sort of that you started detoxing?
Right. I had tried on my own a bunch, and I've smoked marijuana my whole life, since a teenager, but I don't anymore. That's always helped with some of those things on some level. Sure. But this has been a little different. So this is my first bout through rehab, detox, all that. So
cool. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
We are sending love, to you as we speak, literally. We're so proud that, our customers, our clients have the strength and they use our product, and that our product is making a difference. And, there's love in our product, literally. Not just CBD, even though that might seem esoteric or even ridiculous, but that's actually a fact. Would you take us through your 12 years? Like, how did your addiction progress, and what were the stages or whatever, just so that more people can find themselves in that progression?
All right. Well, I guess in my later years in high school, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, a lot of that had come into play, and I really didn't know how to deal with it. I had used alcohol, inhalants, marijuana, some things like that here and there. Looking back, I can see the addictive tendencies in play there, but I had no idea at the time. After I graduated from high school is when I started using regularly, started smoking weed daily, and using alcohol, not daily at that point, but often. It would be a couple years later that I started taking painkillers on the regular, and I realized how much that I work construction, it helped with pain. I've broken a lot of bones and done a lot of stupid stuff, so it helped me just move on and keep going, working hard, and it lifted all my problems away at the time. And
I got you. No, I got you.
Yeah.
I totally understand. There's a certain amount of people do go through this, and some people get stuck and some don't. Some people's situations and circumstances change, and that may be the reason they go off of it and they stay off, or just use it occasionally, just like any other person. But some people might get stuck, and
we have a lot of addiction in our family too, so genetically he's prone to that.
I
So
understand.
from there, it just progressed. I started meeting up with people that I just consistently had opiates in my life. And then I started realizing what it was to go through withdrawals. And for so many years, it was just trying to not be sick. And I could handle it for for a few years I could handle withdrawals and kind of be a functional addict, you know, and then it progressed worse and worse, and I'd get clean here and there for a little bit, but I just couldn't last weeks, a week. The depression, anxiety, all that would set in. I don't know that I ever wanted it or realized what the illness was for what it is, or the help that was available for that matter.
Did you see any doctors, any counseling? How did that go?
No, well, not until recently here. I guess I was so afraid to admit it to myself, to anybody else, that even if I went to a doctor for depression and anxiety and stuff like that, I never fully disclosed what I was up to. I just kept that all to myself. And, you know, people knew what was going on, but not to the extent of what was really going on or how bad it was. Mm-hmm. So then in the most recent years here, I started drinking daily in the morning, all day long, at work. I'd use all day long. And I decided things were out of control. I couldn't handle life anymore day to day. Stress was just insane, the anxiety, and it was all, just drugs and drinking had taken over. It was just, everything became unmanageable.
Did you have
from
a
simple things
job?
to big things, but
Did you have a job, at that point?
I've always had, yeah.
How did you manage that?
I was the service manager at the Harley shop.
Awesome.
I hardly managed it towards the end. Mm-hmm. It was just the stress level was too much, and drugs and alcohol had a lot to do with that. But it was just over the top, and so at that point, I ended up quitting work and going to a clinic and getting help for the opiates. And I thought that if I could get that under control, I could just quit drinking.
Yeah.
You froze up. Can you still hear me?
Yes. It's breaking up a little bit. I'll let you know if it breaks up to the point that I'll ask you to repeat something.
Okay. So this would be about 8 months ago. I went to the methadone clinic and started getting help there, and told my family what was going on, and had their support. But I didn't quit drinking. It actually got worse. And then about 3 or 4 months into the methadone clinic and drinking, my health started getting really bad, where I was just vomiting all the time. I was sick all the time. Everything hurt. And I just was losing it mentally. And I had gotten a different job, but I had to quit that job because I was so sick. Mm-hmm. In my head, I was sick and something else was wrong. I didn't think it was the methadone and the alcohol. And I didn't know how bad methadone was at that point. Not at all. And I was getting counseling there and going to groups and stuff. So that part helped me drop using opiates, drop all my contacts, get out of that lifestyle. Same time, it kind of drove me to a new rock bottom. I literally, towards the end, felt like I was dying, and Mom had taken me to the hospital, and then I'd freak out and leave and couldn't go through with it. And I finally got into a doctor, and he told me my liver was congested and there was starting to be some damage and some other issues, and that I had to quit drinking right then if I was going to make it. So I tried to get into rehab, but nobody would take me at the methadone levels, because I was at 120 milligrams a day. And then I tried to dose down to get into rehab, and I dosed down way too fast because I was desperate to get in, and I just couldn't quit drinking. And that sent me into a spiral of just super sick withdrawals, just losing my mind. Mm-hmm. I mean, wandering around the house, just lost, confused, seeing things, convulsing like crazy. My whole body was. And I'll let Mom talk here, but I was having to stay in the sunroom that we're in now because I couldn't sleep, and she was staying in the room with me on the couch here, just making sure I was going to be alive and not do anything crazy, and just wandering around aimlessly, losing my mind for days. And we didn't know what we were going to do until she found this place in Georgia that would detox me off the levels I was at and get me some help. And tell them a bit about that part.
Well, I knew he was in serious trouble. I knew that he was dying. He was so malnutrition, and you can't be vomiting all day, and he was drinking his meals, but at the end, he was not able to keep anything down, so not even the alcohol. So he was actually having tremors and delirium from detoxing off of that naturally. And I knew how dangerous that was,
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody, even his dad was like, well, just quit, but it isn't like that. He couldn't just quit off of both of those. It would have killed him, but being on it was killing him. So it was just a vortex. It was a bad situation. And then I was just at work, and that's where I found this detox center. Well, I say God found this detox center for us, and they were able to get him in right away. And they had to detox him off the alcohol first before they cut off the methadone, even though they had him stop the methadone.
Mm-hmm.
And like 2 days before, he had to come in withdrawal, so they knew how much. But they medicate him. It was an outpatient thing for 10 days. But for 3 of those days, they had to get him stable off of his the alcohol withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to have medicine so he wouldn't go into seizures and have a cardiac arrest. So then they started detoxing. It's an accelerated program called the Coleman Institute, and there's just a few clinics, and we were lucky that this was only 2 hours away. And in the United States, there's only a handful of clinics. Anyway, they use naltrexone, and they knock the opiates off of the receptors in the brain a little at a time every day, a little more, instead of just doing it at once.
Mm-hmm.
They found that they would put people in a coma, do it at once, they'd wake up and they'd be miserable in pain, because coming off of methadone is very painful. He had a lot of pain, but he was heavily sedated, but you can't give pain medicine, So anyway, that was 10 days or 11 days of what could have been hell, but was tolerable for him. But it was still tough. And then that was when we came home, and he wanted to smoke pot, and I said, nuh-uh.
Let me I'll tell him this part. So, well, in the night before we went down to the clinic, I was laying on the couch and just went into a bad seizure. And I mean, the natural detox in here, just being so ill, not being able to keep anything down I about didn't make it that night. And I felt like I was done. I actually said to myself, this is it. I'm not going to make it. I didn't think I was. So when I got back, just your brain going from a decade plus of addiction to being put into the world clean was the craziest feeling in the world. Just so odd and so raw. And my brain hurt. It was so overstimulated by everything.
Okay.
I was
Tell you what, I
on
kind
a
of
few
lost
meds
you.
still at that time, and I was nauseous.
I kind of
Anxiety
lost
was
you.
out of control. I was having.
I kind of lost you where you said you were overwhelmed with the stimulus coming of the real world.
Okay, so everything was just so raw and so overwhelming. I was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and it was just incredibly hard to deal with. And at that time, I didn't see marijuana as a drug, and you couldn't have convinced me otherwise, but I kind of changed my mind. So I just wanted to smoke weed because I knew it would help with a lot of those symptoms, and I did it a couple nights, and it did help somewhat. But then Mom sat me down and talked, and I realized, with the addictive tendencies I have, and if I want to recover, anything that alters my mind is a way of me escaping and not dealing with recovery and healing and tackling the real issues. And I was pissy about it because it's natural, and I don't want to go on a bunch of doctor medicine, and I don't want to go take 5 different pills with a bunch of side effects. Why can't I use something natural? And I said something about, if we were somewhere real, you could take like CBD oil or something that doesn't have the high tendency and has the good parts to it and all that. So that was just a conversation we had, and then she ended up, I think it kind of blew her mind for me to just say, okay, well, I won't smoke weed then. I get that it alters my mind, and I agree with you, because we've had weed arguments our whole life. I was like, no, I won't not smoke weed.
And I didn't think that it was the worst thing in the world, because I knew where he was at, and being mom, I wanted him to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
But I also knew that when you smoke weed, you have to get it from somewhere, and a lot of it around here is laced with other stuff. And I didn't want him in that world of going and getting it and then somebody talking him into something else too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when he told me about the CBD, I remembered the people from Colorado who helped the little girl with Duvet syndrome.
Right.
And so I had heard of CBD, but I'm a researcher. I do a lot of Googling. So I started Googling it, and that's when I came across you guys. It came up on a page, I'm not even sure where. And I just read through your whole website and read the testimonies. And then I also read some other places, about the different things, the magnitude of things that CBD helps.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was excited, because I said, wow, I can actually help him with this. And something's got to help him, because it was real hard to watch this. It was real hard for me. That hurts my heart to see him, just his head bobbing, and to know how that must feel, and to go be the anxiety and anything that would help. I'm all about natural. If it's natural, I know some medicines have its place, but so anyway, then I ordered it, and it came really fast, which we were thankful for. And I could not believe the difference. It was so exciting to see within just a real short time, the tremors. I mean, he always shakes like crazy, and he just has, that's just normal for his lifetime. I don't know if you can see, but the whole head bobbing. If he'd stop his head, his arm would just start going.
Right.
It was really bad. And so the first time I took it, within minutes, I started to notice a difference. Within a half an hour, I noticed a mindset difference, a difference in my nausea, and within slight difference in the tremors, but within hours, and then throughout the next day, dramatic difference in the tremors and everything.
So right out of the gate, when you got the CBD and you started dosing it, like for the first time, you noticed the difference, or did it take a couple of days or something?
No, I noticed a difference right out of the gate, and then days later I was really pretty stable. A week later, I was solid.
I would have to say right away, in between doses, he would start it again.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I haven't seen it for a long time.
I'll notice in between doses, in stressful situations, when stress or anxiety comes, I'll get it somewhat, but it's still not near as bad.
I understand. Could you take us through, like, how far apart you were dosing? Was it 3 times a day, 5 times a day, 2 times a day? And how much would you take? And how did you start? Did you progress, taking the CBD, like a few drops and a few drops, or did you progress slower, faster? What was the deal with that? What's the story?
I guess at first, for the first few days, I just followed what was on the website, however many drops it was, 3 times a day. And then at night it was double. Yeah, I think I started with 5, and then 10. Did you notice the difference? You were taking 5 drops of CBD oil, like in the morning, and then 5 drops
of CBD oil at lunchtime at about 2-3 o'clock, and then you probably took the 10 drops of CBD oil at night, like before you went to sleep. Did you notice a difference, comparing to the 5 drops you took during the day?
Not really. I guess I've always had such a high tolerance for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice much of a difference. For the first few days, I stuck to the 5, 5, and 10, and I noticed that it was making a noticeable difference in everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't completely subdue it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I upped the dosage. I don't remember what it was.
7.
So it was a slow progression. You
like
probably took
7,
7, and 15 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then by a couple weeks, now it's, I don't know, I measure it off the...
You don't...
You're trying to...
Yeah, I understand. So now you're taking a few more drops than just 5. So you don't measure by drops, but you just fill in the dropper like half an inch or something, and you just take that underneath your tongue.
Yeah, it's probably...
it's probably about 20 drops or something.
I do it 4 times a day, and it's probably about 20 drops 4 times a day.
Right.
And then I hold it under my tongue.
Yeah, cool. So from 3 times a day, you notice that maybe that's too far apart, so you took it to 4 times a day.
Yeah, and I don't double it at night. I just do it the same 4 times a day.
Cool. Yeah, 4 times a day, same dosage, about 20 drops. Okay. Great information. And right now, when you're at that level, you don't have to do a bigger dosage in a week. You can just probably stay there. And tell you what, some of our other customers have reported back that they can even do a smaller dosage after a while, that even a smaller dosage takes care of the job. Like you take half of the dose, you progress, you come to a dose where there's where you're stable, and then you can, the same CBD oil, the same concentration, in the bottle, the same amount of the milligrams of the CBD, plus of course other cannabinoids, but then you can take it off a little bit, and you can definitely experiment with that. Maybe not right now, but later down the road when you're, feeling totally confident, hey, you can definitely try that.
Yeah, because progressively, as my mind and body heals, I probably, as those things naturally heal, I can back off a little bit and keep that. But
not that it's doing you any harm. It's doing you great. Right. But
yeah.
Sometimes maybe a higher dosage for somebody, they can afford it for a while, but then maybe they back up a little bit, because just to make it more affordable, so they can still go on, but maybe not taking that high dose. Yeah, awesome.
It's
so
made an amazing difference. I can't thank y'all enough. And I'm proud of my mom for doing the research and being open-minded too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can tell you, Melanie, you from what you guys told me, you're I don't know what to say, like an amazing woman, super strong, like she's a superhero.
I just love my kids, that's all,
I know, yeah, and definitely it takes...
Well, and I'm a woman of faith, and I try to take everything to God, so me coming across what I do and have to help him has been divine intervention, every step of the way, so...
Hey, by the way, when, at the rehab and detoxing and all that, now I take it that the first step is admitting that you have a problem, something like that.
Yeah.
And then is there a step in there, as I've heard, that admitting that you have no control or something like that?
Yeah. I'm in Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, going to the programs as well as intensive outpatient during the day. Right now.
Okay, let me jump in right here, just so it doesn't take us too far down the road. Now, that's a step that's in almost all of the detox and AA or anti-drug or getting off the drugs or getting off any addiction. That's a step in almost any program, but I've been exploring this for some time now, and I can tell you that I don't think that's really true. The fact of the matter is, man, that you and only you, sure, your mom helps you, and God bless her for that. And other people help you. Obviously, we've helped you, and we're humbled and proud and happy about that. But you and only you are in control of everything in your life. You know what I mean? It's not that you do not have any control over your life. The fact is that you do have 100% control. And that's why you're getting better, man.
I agree. It's not necessarily saying I have no control over my life. It's I'm powerless over my addiction, and the willpower to just not use in that way. I'm completely in control of how I handle my future in this disease.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I completely agree.
Yeah.
And
that's why you're getting better, man. That's for the first time you're taking control. You know what I mean? Sure, like I said, sure, your mom's helping you. Sure, CBD oil is helping you, and if you take your life to the next level, like you eat healthy, you exercise a little bit, you go out, take some sun, go walk in the sun, just throw your shoulders back, put your head up, stuff like that, like change your physiology. But you're in control of all of that. And that's because you're taking control right now for the first time. That's what's happening, you're in control. And that's why you're handling this so well.
I completely agree. I've been full out in recovery, eating better, eating healthy, getting that support network, just being open and sharing and exercising, getting over that depression, anxiety, just working through it, learning to use it the right way and all that. So realizing it's hard to admit that, you've used your whole life to handle those problems, and then coming to the realization that you were wrong this whole time, that you can handle it in the right way, in a much better way, and live a happy, fulfilling life without drugs or alcohol is, it's amazing to have hope for a fulfilling, happy life in the future. But at the same time, it's like, damn, I was wrong the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, so he's learning to live one day at a time, and to learn how to deal with the shame and guilt from his past, and to put that behind him. And, that sounds really easy to me, like just get over it, but it's a huge hurdle for him to have to come to grips with that. But he's a very strong person. He just forgot he was. The alcohol and the drugs took that away from him. And so he's just refining himself and learning a new normal. And there is one thing else that we didn't mention, and other than some natural herbs also that he takes for anxiety, like chamomile and schizandra and stuff, that.
Tell me about that. Yeah, tell me about that. We're all in the natural, even though we're selling CBD products, and that's our base, but we're definitely generally into all things natural. So please tell me about that.
Well, I found it's a mix. It's under the name of Tranquil X, was the best one I found after researching all the things that were good for depression and anxiety. That one had everything but one thing. It didn't have holy basil in it. And so he still doesn't have that. I did see some CBD that had that in it somewhere. Anyway, that, and he also has a naltrexone. He had a naltrexone implant. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, what's that?
Naltrexone is the drug that they use to detox him. That I told you about, that knocks the opiates off the receptors. Well, it also goes back and I guess you could say coats, or it blocks those receptors. So if he were to drink, or if he were to take opiates, that naltrexone would block it, and he wouldn't feel the effects of the alcohol. And it also helps with the craving, which I know that CBD helps with that too. So the implant didn't quite last. He metabolizes stuff so fast. It didn't quite last the 2 months it was supposed to. So he actually was kind of having some of those cravings and just dealing with it. But he can get the shot, and the shot lasts a month. It's a long-acting one. And so they say if you can do that for a year, just to help you through till your mind heals. And so he is also taking that naltrexone. It doesn't have many side effects, and it's non-addictive.
And it comes in a form of a shot?
It comes in a pellet that can be implanted in you. There's one from Australia that lasts 6 months to 12 months, depending on how you metabolize. So I don't know how they know what person is, used up at that point. But it's kind of invasive. It's a fairly decent size scar that he's got that would have to go on one side of the abdomen, the next 2 months in the other side. The Coleman Institute has theirs made by someone, so that's why theirs only lasts 2 months. Most places last longer, and it's real expensive. But the shot is mixed with some oil, and it's called Vivitrol. That's the brand name. There is a naltrexone generic that the Coleman Institute uses, so they must have that made too. But anyway, that supposed to last a month, and there are pills. And the pills are real cheap, but the problem with the pills are the person has to be all in it to take them every day, because it's a once a day thing.
Take them every day and not abuse them like an addict always does. Not that they're abusable, but...
No, I got you. So so you're doing a couple of things. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the Vivitrol shot suspended in oil, and it lasts a month, so I'm doing that for the next year as well.
And the plan is to try to come off of all of that eventually, of course. And then is your plan to stay with the CBD? Is that the one that you're going to stay with it the longest? Because it's the most natural one of all of them?
Ideally, yes, as long as that's allowed financially, which as soon as I start working again and start supporting myself again, I'd like to. But like you said, if I can... the more I get better and I can start dosing down on a little and have it work as well, I'd like to be off of everything and use that. I don't want to turn back to marijuana or anything else. So,
yeah. Sure.
Another important thing is insomnia. For people who are coming off of drugs and are trying to heal, they have a lot of problems with insomnia. And so, he's taken natural things, the melatonin, but I think that the CBD, he has some, but it's not like what I read about people having.
The first few weeks of insomnia were medium for me. And how long was it? A couple weeks till we got the CBD after detox?
Not quite, but I don't know.
A little over a week or something. I noticed a difference in sleep with the CBD for sure. And being 2 months clean, I still should have pretty good insomnia. But I definitely get at least 8 hours of sleep a night. I might wake up a few times, but I fall back asleep, and I usually can take an hour or two nap a day too.
Awesome. Did you notice a difference right out of the gate with the CBD, about insomnia as well?
Yep, first night.
First night?
Yep.
Great. You obviously have a fast metabolism, and I think your body heals, above average fast.
It always has.
That's great. You're going to get off of all of that super fast, man. Just stay with it, Like I said, you're in control.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Melanie, you wanted to say something?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, awesome.
It's exciting for me. Every day I see improvement in him. I don't know, how he feels, but feel like a hawk sometimes, like I'm just watching, but every day just to see him smile again is worth $1 million to me, and engage with his family. He's got 2 little ones, and that was hard at first, any noise and all of that. You're just trying to deal with everything and stay above the water, but he has a serenity about him now, peacefulness on his face and calmness.
And how old are your 2 little ones?
Almost 3, a little girl, almost 3, and a 4-month-old baby boy.
Well, they certainly need you, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you have not only your mom as a reason, but definitely your kids.
I got a beautiful wife, a wonderful family, and 2 beautiful kids. So I've got all the reasons in the world besides just me.
Yeah, his wife is very supportive, but with a brand new baby, I guess that's more why mom had to step in and help, because she had her hands full, but she's very supportive.
Fantastic. Can I ask you, okay, so you've been, in the fog for a long time, and 67 days ago you started to come off of it, and now you can. I mean, it's fair to say that you're totally out of the fog. So it's a bright day. How does it feel? Yeah, like you're excited about life. You see how beautiful it is without any, drugs or alcohol or even marijuana. Just enjoying life clean. Getting all in.
I'd say it was about a month ago where the fog started to lift, and I had so many issues to work through at first, and just mentally, emotions, and coming to terms with what's been going on, how to move forward, all that. And my brain was so foggy and just wasn't working right. And so within the past month, I've been able to, my brain's working much better, still not what it used to be, but been able to work through thoughts and ideas, move on, get to the next thing, and the world is brighter. I have hope now. The depression and anxiety is lifting way better. I'm able to enjoy things, enjoy life, something I haven't had in a long time. My worst days now are better than my best days were in using for the past years. Not only can I enjoy the moment more now with my family and just everything, but to see how my family interacts with me and the difference in my little girl, especially how she interacts and looks at me and plays with me, how much of you don't think they know, but they do,
They're pretty smart, even at 3.
Yeah. Oh, she's
really
stupid smart.
Yeah.
I can't even describe the hope I have for the future, and the knowledge and the tools to go forward and heal and get better and know that I can have a happy, fulfilling life without drugs and alcohol and sobriety is just out of this world to me. So I have a lot of hope and can't wait.
I'm very happy to hear that. And let me tell you something else. Considering how well your metabolism works, we have fantastic results with small children because their metabolism tends to work even faster than any grown-up. The thing is that when people come to us with epilepsy, when people come to us with when their kids have not just epilepsy, but even other problems like their speech slows down at about age of 3, 4. So when their speech is developing, but then it slows down because they have a vaccination and they get epilepsy, but it's more than just seizures. Their speech slows down, their motor functions kind of regress, go back. So it's more than just seizures. And then when they start taking the CBD oil, what happens is they have an incredible progression of all of those functions that were kind of going back. Now they're talking more, their motor functions are back to normal, or they're catching up, So you said that, your brain, your mind is not quite there yet. I can tell you, considering the metabolism that you have, CBD oil builds like new highways in your brain. So, be prepared that you're going to be absolutely back to your normal self and even better. Like you can be even more perceptive, more smart, more, just you can advance even there, even though you're a grown up, and we seem to have a perception that there's a barrier, that there's there's a stop. Okay, you can grow only so much, you are where you are, but that's not really true. You can build muscles on your body, but you can also build muscles in your brain, and that's what you're doing. That's the whole process. So my congratulations. I mean, literally, you're a bright sample to anybody that is dealing with the same kind of problems and issues. And you've been 12 years in, so it's not like we're talking that, hey, you've been abusing drugs and alcohol for a couple of years. 12 years is,
if you'd have seen me a couple months ago, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, I looked like death. I felt like death. My mind was nothing. And even, your brain building new pathways, how far I progressed in 2 months mentally is outrageous, honestly.
Yes.
It's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
So between the miracle and God's help and the work I put into it in CBD, something's working. So.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like CBD should standard for recovery after
Yeah.
seeing how it's helped him,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of Xanax and Valium and all this stuff that just makes things worse again,
And I'll say this to my counselors at IOP, intensive outpatient. I'm failing the P test there.
Mm-hmm. So I've heard.
Cannabinoids.
But do you think
They-
you think you're failing because of the CBD, because there's traces amount of THC and it shouldn't be picked up? Are they doing a test for CBD and that's not allowed or something? No.
They can't be.
It's just a basic, cheap little cup test. I think it's testing for cannabinoids, not THC.
Okay.
But they saw when I ran out for 2 days, and they saw me when I came into class with huge tremors and not being able to interact even, to how much better I got on the CBD. And then when I ran out for the few days, how much I shut down and the tremors came back, that they haven't even cared. They just want me on the CBD so I'm comfortable and
Okay.
who I am.
So it's been a huge witness to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. You're taking it
and
out
I
to the
think-
world. Yeah.
And his counselor didn't say just the difference was because of the tremors. She said, because I see that you interact more.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
she sees
obviously-
how it helps her.
Yeah. I understand. The tremors were the most obvious thing, even if you're quiet, obviously. But when you interact, I guess she noticed the biggest difference. And you interacted more, not just that you interacted differently or that you appeared to be, cleaner or less foggy or something, but you probably weren't even interacting that much at that point.
Right. Just a lot more lively, a lot more clear, friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Super. I mean, you can imagine that we feel pretty good that we're able to have such an impact with our CBD products on people's lives. I never would have imagined, like a couple of years ago, we were doing something else. I was in the film industry, and Ellie was also doing something else and helping me a bit. But then the CBD kind of came about. And Melanie, if you've read our website, with my sister. She had seizures, but she had them for like 28 years. And I was reading about CBD, about cannabis oil, about, cannabis extracts. And it was mostly about cancer, right? Because that's the whole, the whole buzz is about it healing cancer. But they were mostly talking about THC-rich cannabis oil. And I came about the information that there's also an option to do this out of hemp, which is very low on THC, and then you get, from certain strains, you get a really high amount of CBD, and plus the other cannabinoids, the ratios in there are very beneficial. So we tried it, and my sister was better like almost instantly. And then also, like I said, with the kids. And okay, it's fair enough to explain about my sister, because you guys are exploring the CBD as well. So this is interesting for you as well. So my sister, I can't say that she's 100% okay after 1 year and 1 year and a half actually of taking CBD. So that's a long time. But for the past, 20 years, she's been very passive. She's hardly moving during the day. She just off the couch into the kitchen and back to the couch in front of the TV. She sleeps a lot during the day as well because of all the other meds that they were giving her. So her metabolism is super slow, I think. And that's why she's not picking it up so fast. On the other hand, with my friend's kid, he was 3 years old when he got the seizures, started to talk less, and like I said, motor functions kind of digressed, and that was happening for about a year. And he was on all of the meds for seizures and stuff like that, the regular meds. And then we got him on the CBD, and in a week, his brain scan was showing no epilepsy, and the doctors were blown away. And my friend didn't tell them because he was afraid that they might, whatever, they might not agree with that, or there wouldn't be any consequences, but they might have refused the treatment of this kid with other meds, or they would refuse to detox him properly, stuff like that, So he was afraid about that. But the results were in a week, and that's because of the super fast metabolism that the kids have, and some grown-ups as well, obviously, or one sample. So yeah, the CBD works better if your metabolism is fast, and if you're also actively helping your metabolism with kind of workout, with kind of walking, kind of living the active life and not being passive. So, you definitely are on the right path there. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you so much for opening up and let others into your life, into something that we sort of cherish. And a lot of times we're afraid to tell anybody about the problems, the issues, the situations, the challenges that we have. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for making a difference in people's lives, because it does. If there isn't people out there like you, then we wouldn't have the option, so we appreciate that too.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm just glad that I could help, really. It's been a total pleasure meeting you, total pleasure talking with you, total pleasure in helping you, man. Yeah.
Doctors are frustrating. My brother's a doctor, and if it isn't a double-blind study, then he don't want any part of it, and so it is frustrating when you find something natural and they think that everything's a placebo, and it's because of big pharma, that whole thing, those are the people that talk and that train them. We don't
Right.
have med reps out talking about CBD and showing them any studies. So that's, you think they'd be very intelligent, but they're very narrow-minded for the most part.
Yeah, but that's because of the whole system is set up so it kind of clutters their brain with whatever they're talking about, whatever they're selling, whatever they, the whole thinking process has been set up by the pharmacy industry. So he's just
They're all pawns.
yeah,
Really.
he's just a product of that, and he's obviously a well-made product of that, right? So don't take it against him. That's just how they build him up. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm looking forward to staying in contact with you. I'm looking forward to, for you, to Dustin, to tell me that you've reached the 90-day mark, so the 3-month mark. Just let your mom send me, a shout.
Okay.
So we can be happy here. We can cheer from here, even if you don't hear us. Great. Thanks for taking the time again. And, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
It's nice to meet you.
A huge thanks to Dustin and Melanie that were so brave to openly share their story like that. If you have any questions about CBD oil or cannabis oil in general, or something specific about how CBD oil can help overcome drug and alcohol addiction, just send us an email to support@CuredByNature.org. If you want to get more information about CBD, how it works, if CBD oil would work for your health issues, and to see more CBD oil success stories, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel here, but also go to our website CuredByNature.org to subscribe to our mailing list. There's information, giveaways, special discounts, and tips we only share with our insiders. If you think Dustin's story could help anyone, please share it. I am Matt, and this was Cured by Nature Show. I will see you next time.